Hi, welcome to Behind the Badge. I'm Chief Alan Rodville with Scottsdale Police Department. With me is Chris Vassal, our community liaison.
Hello.
Hi, Chris. Well, here it is, springtime.
I know,
Yeah.
spring and hot.
Yeah, it was a heck of a winter, wasn't it?
It went by fast. Didn't feel like it was
And
just
like
Christmas.
all 90-degree weather too. It's perfect. I
know.
do brag though, because I still have friends back east, and I'll still call, hey, this is our winter, right?
I know.
And they'll call in the summer and say, how hot is it? But you know, quite frankly, it's a dry heat, right?
Exactly.
Yes. So,
and with all the snow that they've had back east, I think there's still snow on the ground in Boston.
yeah. Oh,
So
absolutely. It will be
it's
for a while.
just- Yeah. So it's not that bad.
Snow is actually falling off the roofs on cars and crushing cars
Oh
in
my
Boston.
goodness,
Can you
how
imagine?
terrible.
So anyway, having lived that for a while in my life, I can appreciate being out here.
Yep.
We got through all our events. Our big events are all behind us now,
Yes.
and quite frankly, an incredibly successful season. People really came and enjoyed themselves. It was very, very safe, and they had a great time, and we're already hearing about people talking about coming back for hopefully another Super Bowl in the future or more events, and so we really, really had a great season.
Right, and so many baseball fans were here. A lot of baseball
Yes.
fans. Great weather, so
yeah.
I'm sure they had a good time. So yeah, we're moving along, and we went through kids' spring break, and before you know it, a couple more months, the kids will be out of school, and we'll be into the summer.
Amazing how quickly it goes by us. So, having said that, we're in our second session of the year of the Citizens Academy.
Yes.
And so I know that we're not, obviously we've started already, so our next session
Right.
begins again after the summer. So people who are
Right.
interested should start looking to their schedule and figuring that out. And I think you're talking about maybe making a few changes in terms of the scheduling, what have you, making it a little shorter.
Right. I think we're going to do an 8-week program, and it'll still start in September, though,
Okay.
on Thursday nights. And so whatever we do, decide however we tweak it, we'll make sure that everybody knows about it. But it still is going to run September through October or the beginning of November, so pretty much the same time period.
Okay. And you mentioned you're going to make sure people have the same experiences or opportunity to experience
Oh,
the same
absolutely,
things.
absolutely. We're just, sometimes you just need to change the format a little bit, and so we decided to do that.
Great. Sounds good. Anything else going on we should talk about?
Oh, no, I just wanted to shout out to my friends at Denny's in South
Oh.
Scottsdale
Oh, yeah?
who recognized us and said, oh, there's the girl that's on the TV with Chief Rodville. So see, we have fans
Wow.
out there. So hi, guys. Thanks for the coffee.
So was this like in the morning or in the
Yes,
afternoon? In the
we
morning?
went for
Oh,
the
wow.
morning, and they were like, oh, she's with Chief Rodville on the TV. So I was like, hi. So
That's
just
very
want to
cool.
say hi to our fans.
Sounds great.
They
Thank
loved
you.
our show.
Thanks for your support.
They
Thank
love
you.
our show.
So our show today, we're going to talk about a topic that, quite frankly, is very, very important to us in terms of our organization and, quite frankly, service to the community.
Absolutely.
Is our constant, I guess, the constant process of bringing new people on as folks retire out after their career, replacing good folks with great folks that are interested in law enforcement as a career, not just as police officers, but all of our civilian positions as well.
Right, right. It does encompass every person that is on our department, really.
And so as people think about this, and they should know that there's a wealth of opportunity to work, and not just even as a paid member, we also have some volunteer opportunities from time to time within our police department. So
Right.
we've got folks of all ages, but I think we'll talk a little bit about coming in on law enforcement, and then we'll
Yes.
talk a little about civilian hiring, and then talk about volunteerism, if that's
Yes,
okay.
and most people would think, like, when you're talking about recruitment, you're talking about police officers,
Yes.
because that's the most important as far as making sure for public safety. So that's what we're going to really focus on today, is mostly the police officer process.
Sounds good. So our guest today, we have two guests today. Sergeant Jim Deere is actually on temporary assignment in the office, helping out as a supervisor in the unit. And Jim, you've been there for how long now?
Just about 6 months, Chief.
It's about 6 months now. So I really appreciate you've actually been through a process now in terms of a hiring cycle.
Correct.
Yeah, maybe even more than one. I'm not too sure in 6 months how many tests we've actually had.
Including my own when I got hired?
Yeah, exactly.
Two.
Two tests. Okay, yeah, exactly. So you've experienced at least the full process, which is great.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got to where you are, and then introduce Willis, and we'll talk about processes.
Okay. I've been with the Scottsdale Police Department for 22 years. I'm a good example of someone who's really doesn't want to leave the road too far, but I still want to experience a lot of different positions within the department. Just from here, I'm on temporary loan from the motor unit as a motor sergeant. Prior to that, I was Academy Sergeant out at ALEA.
ALEA stands for the Arizona Law Enforcement Academy.
Correct.
Okay, yeah. Sometimes our viewers don't know all the codes.
Formerly ALEAWAC, which we won't even get into that either.
Okay.
But yeah, we have a regional academy, so it starts the cooperative effort with all the departments right off the bat, which is nice. You mentioned the snow. I'm originally from upstate New York,
Okay.
and I specifically came out here for the weather, so I'm never disappointed. Even in the summer, I can't complain. But out there's different departments for different agencies. And you did notice, I went through my career there as far as going to college and doing some internships with the different departments. And I distinctly noticed a cooperative effort once I came out here. And I really think it begins at the police academy level, where we start right off the bat with all the different agencies that they go through your basic recruit right from the beginning, and then you go back to your different agencies.
I think that's an important difference, because a lot of folks may be familiar with the police academies. They're single sort of department academies.
Their own department, correct.
And that still exists even here in Arizona in some departments. But we're a users department where we actually are part of the ALEA group. And so any number of police departments from all over Arizona, primarily in the valley, but we have some outside the valley from time to time, are actually going to academies together at the same time. And so the challenge there, of course, is teaching Scottsdale rules, regulations, policies, procedures when you've got everybody else there. So we have a way of bringing people back at the end of the academy and giving them some of that instruction along with their field training. But the great part of that is they get to experience people from all over the state, and again, mostly primarily the valley, because there's several different of these academies located throughout Arizona. But we utilize one here in Phoenix.
Right. In fact, and then we still utilize different instructors throughout. I've been an instructor out at the academy since 1995. My background educationally was in history and law enforcement, so I used that educational component and went out there as a constitutional law instructor. So I kind of tell the recruits, I'm your worst nightmare. I'm a cop with a badge and a history teacher with a badge. So you have to pretend to be interested at least for this time.
Yeah,
so,
that's funny.
And so I really enjoy that aspect. But I was out there as a training officer at one point. I was a school resource sergeant here. I was on the bike unit. I was on patrol. So and it's not that people get sick of me and move on. It's just I like to experience the different parts of the department.
Absolutely, and use your talents.
Really enjoyed it.
And teach others, mentor. That's really important here.
Right.
I think as you do what you're doing, regardless of whether you're looking at civilian or sworn positions, you have an idea of what the reality is of the business, and you can have an eye out for the best people qualified and capable of doing that kind of, and well-suited to do that kind of work. So I think having that vast background is important. Introduce Willis for us.
Really, it's not about me anymore?
Okay. Yeah.
To my right is Willis Deathridge, and he's a really good example of someone who served in uniform. When we talk about someone can always come here with a second career, he did a full career with Maricopa County. And I have to do a shout out for detention officers, because I 22 years in law enforcement, I've enjoyed my time, and I had no problem with dealing with some bad guys out on the road. But my dealings with them is perhaps a short scuffle, and then I give them to this gentleman who keeps them for years and years and years, and has to be safe and professional and treat them with the respect that they deserve. So I've always been impressed with that, Willis.
It's not for
Just thought
everyone.
I'd mention it today.
Yeah, it's not for everyone.
So Willis, tell us a little bit about, because you were at the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And now you're both a background investigator for us and a polygrapher.
Correct.
And so tell us a little bit how all that came about.
Well, started out my career in detention 31 years ago. Ouch. Yeah. And just happened to be at the right place at the right time. Got a phone call. MCSO was looking for new background investigators, so had a friend that was doing backgrounds, and she called up and said, "Hey, you want to come do this?" Sure, why not? So 1995, I started doing backgrounds. Did lots of backgrounds for the sheriff's office. Talk about big turnover, a lot of in and out there. So, and then that just kind of molded into, again, right place at the right time. We were getting ready to open the 4th Avenue Jail and Lower Buckeye Jail. So, looking to hire about 300 new detention officers. So, the chief knew we were going to need more polygraph examiners. So, my particular chief, she came to me and she said, "You want to go to polygraph school?" Sure, why not? And so that was in 2003.
And how long have you been on Scottsdale?
7 years. Came here in 2008.
7 years already.
I know.
Where time goes.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I want to do for our viewers, I kind of want to take them through the whole process. So if we can get to talk about the process itself, where you can find the information in terms of how to apply, what the disqualify, because we have some automatic disqualifiers. If you do certain things, you're just not going to come into law enforcement,
Correct.
civilian or sworn, or quite frankly, even as a volunteer.
Correct.
And so I want to talk about that, and then I'd kind of like to get them up to the point where they're doing background investigations and what you're looking for, and then of course talk a little bit about the polygraph and the drug screening as well as the psychological, take the mystique away from that as well. And the process, with the exception of certain physical testing, is pretty much the same for civilian and sworn in terms of the process going through, is it not?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you don't mind just starting off, Jim, just kind of telling us a little bit about, where I'm going to find information about when we're hiring, when we're testing, what kinds of things I need to bring to the table, and what kind of things will disqualify me automatically. That might be helpful.
Okay, and probably the best source of information is our website. If you go to the regular City of Scottsdale general website and click under police, that'll get you into the police area, and then if you look to the right, it'll get you into recruitment. And then from there, everything that we're about to talk about is listed there,
right,
so that you can take your time, review everything that's necessary. We have a recruitment video that's very well done, that gives you a little insight in our department. And then you can look into other areas and explore the department from the website. From there, and I'm going to mention the 6 months from motors,
Yeah.
7 years, so I'm going to defer a lot to Willis. But
That's
I think,
fine.
from there, you can apply right online.
Correct. It's all completely online application system.
Okay, so you do an application, and then you come out to test. They'll set a testing date.
They'll review the application, and then they'll send out an invitation for those applicants, because they'll screen it at that point for some of the disqualifiers.
Correct.
And then they'll send out an invitation for the applicant to come and test. And we want to make it as easy as possible for the applicants, so we cover a lot of ground on the one day that they come out. We'll start with, actually, the chief last time addressed the candidates. Right off the bat, they get a little indoctrination into the philosophy of Scottsdale Police Department and what we're all about. From there, they'll go out and we'll do the physical testing,
Okay.
which they're listed there, the requirements.
Okay.
Do you want to cover the requirements?
Well, you have to be 20 years and 8 months of age at the time that you apply, and that's just to make sure that you're 21 by the time you graduate the academy. You have to be able to do 19 sit-ups in a minute, 28 push-ups in a minute, and run a 1.5 miles in at least 14 minutes and 18 seconds.
Yeah, it's got to be under
If
that.
I could just interrupt, because this is what surprises me most, is that it's out there to tell people this is what we expect of you. And in fact, if I'm not mistaken, there's actually examples of what it looks like to do the right sit-up and the right,
Yes.
right
Correct.
push-up, so you know exactly how to perform the test.
And it's the same female and male. That's
I
very
believe so,
important.
yes.
Correct.
Right.
And so the issue really is people still show up to the test thinking, I'll just grunt these things out, and they're not going to just grunt them out.
No.
You really need, we put it out there because we don't want anybody to fail. We want you to come and be successful.
Right.
And so you just need to be prepared. You just need to practice that, so when you get up there, there's not challenge or a difficulty. But yet we still fail people out the physical,
Yeah.
just because they never run across the street, and now they're running 1.5 miles
Yeah,
for time.
14 minutes.
And you wonder, like, what were you thinking? But so look at that, realize what's required of you, and prepare for it, is my point.
And I'm sorry, I'm like ready
That's
to
okay,
go,
please.
because you make such a good point, and we want to make a point too that these are the minimum standards too.
Yeah, minimum, exactly.
You should be exceeding all those, and we do look at that. Obviously, if you pass that physical, that's the minimum standards we're looking at. But we want to see well beyond that, because this is the first beginning. This is the first steps of a 25-year career, and as you know, Chief, as you progress, I'm definitely feeling it. Somebody hit a switch at 21 years on, and I'm in my 22nd year, where all of a sudden I'm a bit more tired when I go home. I'm sleeping much better.
Speak for yourself, okay?
Yeah. To where you're carrying, you're signing on at a minimum to carry 25 pounds
Right.
extra equipment for 25 years.
Sure.
So you need to have that physical fitness ability. It's such a great stress reliever to be working out too. And what we see is applicants that do not go to the academy in shape, your
Yes.
body's going to start shutting down, and you're not going to be successful. You're going to get injured.
A fact, and you guys weren't here yet, you might have been here, I'm not sure, but we were losing like 40% of our applicants in the first week of the academy. Not because of the academics, just simply they just weren't capable of running the distance that you're required to run in the academy because they weren't going prepared. And that's when we changed up our whole mantra. In fact, we not only just test once, don't we test again before they go to the academy?
Correct.
Correct.
And we, at that point, haven't lost anybody because of physical fitness. So,
Right.
so we really do look for somebody that's beyond the minimum. We're looking for people that are going to make it. There's no sense going to the academy if you can't do the physical
And if you think the
aspects.
physical fitness is hard, that's just the first part of it.
Right.
Then you
Right.
go to a testing process, correct?
Correct. After the physical fitness part, then we go in and we take a written test. You need to be 70, pass that with a 70%, and it's a validated test that's provided to us. We don't make it up from a company, and it's designed not only to test different aspects of the person, including their how well they would maybe think of their fate, problem solving. It's a variety of things that are going to be in that
Listening
written
skills.
test. Correct.
I don't need to know anything about the law, though, or police work, do I, to take
No.
this test?
No.
No, we're just looking at the person, and you know, our philosophy and most agencies' philosophies are that's what the academy's for. We're just looking at an overall totality of the type of individual that we find is typically most successful in that environment.
Then they
So
have a
if-
spelling test.
Yep.
We still doing
Yep.
that?
Yep.
Yep.
Still
Yeah.
doing a spelling test.
Well, I'm
Okay.
glad I came on before we had a spelling test.
And then after the so once if they pass the physical fitness, the written and the spelling test at that point, what's the next step?
Then we do a report writing exercise. It's not a pass-fail, but it is graded, just to see what kind of listening skills and reasoning skills and memory skills. At the beginning of it, a short story is read of an actual, well, it's a made-up crime, but it's this is you responding to this place, and the proprietor of the place was just robbed. Here's his story, and from what he tells you about what happened during the robbery, at the end of
You have to write a synopsis.
then you have to
of
write
it. Okay.
a report of
So
of
you're
what you
not
heard.
going to be writing a report about, you know, going to the gym and losing a duffel bag. Should be writing something about the robbery. So we want to make sure you
Correct.
comprehend what is being said.
And
correct.
this is all done the same day, right?
Yes.
It's all done the same day. Generally a Saturday morning, starts early, depending upon the weather, because obviously when it gets too hot, we don't want people running.
Right.
So starts early in the morning, and this is a one day. And so after this day is over,
this big day, what happens then?
the people that pass this process get invited to come and do an oral board interview?
Correct.
Is that correct?
In fact, the applicants that have been successful through every portion of that, they leave that day with their time in place of taking the oral board.
Okay.
So that's definitely a one-stop shop. So if we get an out-of-state applicant or someone that has to travel, we want to make it as easy for the applicant as possible.
Okay.
Then from there, yes, they'll go into an oral board. There'll be at least a supervisor and one, possibly two. We try to have 3 people on the board that will ask them various questions. Nothing, you know, everything is designed to really get to know the person as a person. You know, you made a good point. We're going to train you in the academy after that, but we want to know: have you thought about this career field? What can you tell us about law enforcement? What kind of person are you? Like, what have you done, you know, for your life? Just a getting to know
Life
you process.
experiences,
Exactly.
Yes.
And then we will ask them some situational questions. But again, we don't grade them as a police officer. We just want to see critical thinking skills. What are you thinking, and can you defend what you've been thinking? And then we always ask at the oral board your use of force continuum. Are you willing to take someone's life? Because at the end of the day, we need to make sure that the applicant has at least considered that, maybe talk to his family, what type of support, because that's a reality of our job. We never want to take a life, but that's a reality that could occur. So we want to make sure that the applicant has thought that through.
Okay. So you get through the interview and the oral boards, and the next step is to do the background. And the background's a packet, is that correct? Which you
Right.
fill out
Right.
information about your finances and prior jobs and where you used to live and your residence, and I guess you put down some neighbors and some references there. You talk about finances, I think, because people have financial histories at this stage in their lives,
Yep.
and you want all of the information. You want anything not put down, even if it's embarrassing, even if it's I had some failings or I had some difficulties. We hire human beings, and,
Right.
and human beings have human experiences, so we don't hire perfect people necessarily. No, we want perfect people. We want people that had life experiences. We want to know how they've handled those, and they've handled those correctly and responsibly. And so they fill that packet out, and then they come in and see you as the background investigator to have that interview. Is that how it works?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the background packet itself is 43 pages. At last count, anyway, and it's basically your whole life, A to Z. Every place you've ever lived, every job you've ever had. We ask about traffic tickets and criminal history, if you've ever been arrested or given a criminal citation. We asked about drug history, if you've tried drugs or bought or sold drugs.
And we'll show some of the disqualifiers for that, and some of the qualifications or disqualifiers if you have done some of those things.
Right.
And we have some slides on that.
And again, it's not about being perfect, because at this step in the process, it's about being honest, because that's the number one word in this game is integrity. So that's what we're looking for. We're looking for honesty and integrity. So it's not about, like you said, the failures, because everyone has them. Everyone has something in their life that if they could go back and change, they would. So they fill out the packet. They come in for a background interview, and we pretty much ask them everything in that packet, for all the explanations, because there's always a reason why someone did what they did. Sometimes it's a good reason at the time, sometimes it's not, but we kind of let them air out that concern, and as long as they still meet all of the, haven't had any of the automatic disqualifiers come up, then they get scheduled for a polygraph.
And so the purpose of the polygraph, and I was hoping to take the mystique out, but I think we're running out a little bit of time. But the purpose of the polygraph is to say, have you told us everything? I mean, it's not like television where they ask long sentences and ask for paragraphs back in response. It's a yes/no answer.
Correct.
And so you're really saying, look, have you told us everything? And if the answer is yes, and there's no deception that's picked up by the machine, that's it. We know everything, and then we can call neighbors, and we can call friends, and we can call people that used to work for in their businesses and check out their history there. But this is really just to make sure we've got all the information we need to get. And if it shows deception, then there's a conversation about, what are you not telling us?
Exactly.
And it isn't always necessarily right at kicking somebody out as soon as they are deceptive. It's just getting at that bottom of, what is it you're not telling us? Have you told us everything?
Right.
And when you say, have you told us everything, and you pass, that's the end of it. Right. So now, if you get through all that, background's done, the background report's finished, we do a conditional offer.
Yes.
And from a conditional offer, people go out and they have a drug screening.
Right.
They have a physical, and they do a psychological.
Correct.
And the psychological is more testing, interviews. How's that? What is that today? Because I don't know.
Yeah, it's more testing.
Okay.
Last I heard, our psychiatrist was using the MMPI, which is just a psychological profiling.
Minnesota multiphase personality inventory.
Yes.
Boy, I remember that from college.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So they do that, and then they'll have an interview with the psychologist, and there's the more personality type questions.
Okay.
And as long as they think that the person is a good fit for law enforcement, they give them the blessing, and
if everything's right, we make an offer, we hire them. They go through a pre-academy of a couple weeks.
One more thing that's part of that conditional offer phase is, like you said, that the second physical fitness test.
Yes. Just make sure they maintain their physical fitness and didn't
just stop.
Right. And that's important to their success.
Yeah.
So real quickly, because you guys, we could talk to you forever because it's not a short process by any stretch of the imagination. It takes months.
Yes.
So
Yes,
it takes a long time.
And then they go to the academy after
So
that.
for civilians, it's relatively the same thing, and we certainly have many, many positions in our police department other than just officer.
Dispatchers,
The only thing they
records.
don't do is the physical test, and
Correct.
they don't do necessarily the that's it. They just
Well,
don't do the physical
right,
test. And they don't
right.
do the same written test. They
Right.
do a different written test.
Right.
Right.
I want to thank you both.
Yeah,
you've
this is
been
a
you've been
big-
great. Yeah,
a
this
lot-
is a
lot to
huge
learn.
huge challenge for us. But everything's online. That's the beauty of this. Anybody
Yeah.
that's interested, anybody that has somebody in the family that might be interested, please have them look us up. We're always looking to hire great people. It is a great career.
Or call us, one of the guys, Sergeant Deere, at least Angelini, somebody in the office will be able to answer your questions should you have some.
Outstanding. Thanks both of you.
Thank you.
Wow, we're going to have to wrap up fast,
We
Chris.
will.
That went by quickly. We'll see you again next month. Until then, be safe.
Bye.
Bye now.
Scottsdale's a great place for so many different reasons. It really is a destination city. We have so many signature events. It is the golf, it's the tourism, it is the great weather, it is the nightlife.
So I've been working on the road for approximately 12 weeks. After 10 years in the Army, I was used to the adrenaline. I was used to doing things such as deploying. The reason I chose Scottsdale Police Department is because it's really diverse. The different units, I've worked with K-9 and I've worked with the DUI task force up here, the personal crimes detectives, and that's been within the first 12 weeks of my career. I can only imagine what I'm going to encounter in my next 25 years, so I'm excited about the opportunity.
Throughout my career, have a variety of different positions. Being a detective, being a bike officer, being a field trainer, all that helped me to promote. As a Scottsdale Police Sergeant, my job is to support my officers in their growth, in their endeavors at work. If my officers have the goal of eventually becoming detectives, receiving a certain amount of training, my job is to help them get the resources they need so that they can be successful. It's nice to know that when you come to work, you have the support of the citizens and you have the support of your peers. When you go out, make an arrest or go to an emergency call, you have the best talented peer employees to back you up on calls.
I've had supervisors that aren't just supervisors, they're mentors, they're leaders. They really find out who I am and where I want to go as a police officer, and they've pushed me. There are actually a lot of different specialty units in Scottsdale too, which is really great. There's a lot of opportunities. You can go to domestic violence, you can go to a special victims unit, you can do the bike unit. You can choose a lot of different experiences and then ultimately choose down the road where you want to go with it.
I think the variety of jobs that are available, I think the different opportunities that we can have, interacting with the public, interacting with each other, working on projects.
I also take a lot of pride in the teamwork we have between all of our civilian groups. We can't do what we do without our radio dispatch personnel, without our records personnel, without our crime scene specialists that go out and photograph scenes for us or take fingerprints for us. Our police aides, they help us a great deal when we're on the road, keeping the officers out, moving about to the next call.
And that's what I love about police work. It's diversity of the city, but it's the diversity of the job. It's not knowing what you're going to get from 1 second, from one call to the next.
I never had any idea how much fun this job was going to be. If somebody had said the job was this much fun when I was 18 or 19, I would have done this first, besides other things, because it keeps you coming every single day. I learn something new, I have fun, I laugh constantly. It's just a great place to be.
The amount of things you get to do in a day, in a week, in a career.
Truly get the blessing of working on the backs of giants. They are, bar none, some of the best in the world as far as policing is concerned. We specifically recruit the best. We expect excellence. That's our goal, primary mission policing, which is help others and make a difference. How we do that, that's up to you.